years to come, we can say we played the Arsenal way because of Arsene Wenger.
A legend of Arsenal Football Club.
A manager, but equally he's kind of a teacher of football as well.
There will never be a manager as good as Arsene Wenger for this club.
He quite simply just changed everything. Who is Arsene Wenger?
He's a pioneer, he was a visionary.
Arsene Wenger is an intelligent, elegant, classy man.
A wise, clever old man who knows a lot about football.
Someone who's dedicated his life to football. He's a person who lives and breathes the game.
He's probably one of our biggest legends that will ever manage the club.
Most things are temporary, from the kind of jobs that you have to relationships and friendships, the places you live. And it's been nice and comforting to have that one consistent.
He's the only constant I've seen as an Arsenal fan.
He's the only manager I've really known.
And so he's been there through every stage of my life. He's given me like a real life experience. When Arsene first joined, I was a bit confused. I was like, who is this person?
I just remember a French man coming from Japan talking about football.
I mean, he was like this French guy from the Japanese league. I mean, it's like, it's not heard of.
We weren't an appealing club, I don't think. Didn't really reach outside of England, really.
It was a team that was kind of known for its boring style of play. It's like grinding out results.
Obviously, we all called the boring Arsenal, and he's put this flair and attacking football into the side.
My first impressions throughout that season was that, wow, the quality of football definitely raised.
It was very different to anything I'd seen in the Premier League before. For me, he almost took the Premier League from being a teenager and dragging it into adult life.
Someone coming from a league so different to the Premier League came and literally changed the whole face of the Premier League.
From kind of nutrition and preparation before games to bringing in foreign players or players that people hadn't heard about.
The way the players looked after themselves in terms of their diet, in terms of their habits.
He came in and within a short space of time, clearly knew exactly what he wanted and he wasn't afraid to make changes.
The amount of science and analytics that go into football now is pretty much it's all because of him. He was the benchmark, he was the first guy to do it.
A lot of the footballers at the time found a newfound love for football because of the new approach, so I think he was very revolutionary when he came in.
In the modern era of football, I think he was the first visionary.
Just his kind of introduction to the Premier League really helped the league itself grow up.
When I was growing up, I basically just got used to us winning the whole time and got used to us winning titles and winning cups.
I don't think you can get bored of winning.
You've got to take into consideration we were not a title-winning side. When you took a look at Man United, who had like Eric Cantona, who was just an iconic figure, and they had all these young players coming up the class of '92, like the Giggses and the Beckhams and the Butts.
Beckham, Scholes, Neville, all of those guys, they're almost like the biggest and best competition that you could face.
The Jamie Redknapps and the Steve McManamans and the Robbie Fowlers and the Stan Collymores and even Newcastle making signings like Alan Shearer in '96. I just thought to myself, how are we going to compete with this monster? And then 1 year later, we're the Premier League champions. It was weird, very weird.
People talk about like the invincible team.
There was just this belief around the club that regardless of what happened or who we'd face, we'd win.
The invincible squad, a lot of the players who were in that were found by him. Vieira, Pires, all of those players who were signed by him, who became such big figures of the club.
The likes of Anelka, who he signed, he was an unknown player, and within a year and a half he sold him for, I don't know, 20 times his value to Real Madrid.
People like Jack Wilshere coming through the academy, that I think means a lot to fans.
The players that he brought through, like he coached young footballers to be world-class players. I mean, think about the players that left us. Fabregas has gone on to do well, Henry went on to win the Champions League.
And even now, if you think more recently, the likes of Maitland-Niles and Willock and Reece Nelson, he's always had, he's never been afraid of sort of blooding youth, and it's worked out well for us.
When you actually really take it in, this man has moved us to a bigger stadium, and one of the players that he brought in that was a winger at Juventus, didn't do particularly well, has got a statue. It's iconic, he cried. Like all of these things that Wenger has built and the amount of people's lives he's changed is ridiculous. And I think I can appreciate it so much more now.
not having that European title in the trophy cabinet is a difficult one.
It'd probably be one of his hugest regrets.
I don't think he has done himself justice in Europe, because I think he deserves more, and I think Arsenal as well deserve to win at least one Champions League.
I mean, he's got to one final, should have won that final.
Yeah, that was upsetting. It was very, very upsetting, and I feel like, even to this day, I feel like we were robbed.
It's heartbreaking. To this day, I think that's probably, I imagine, one of Arsene's biggest regrets, that we didn't win that competition, because it should have been ours.
Arsene Wenger's legacy, I think, is pretty simple. It's just changing the face of football in England and for Arsenal.
Now that he's leaving, I can start to begin to appreciate all the good things he's done and just forget about all the negatives.
Arsenal is such a bigger club and so much more widely respected and regarded all over the world because of Arsene Wenger.
To go through 22 years and only having one manager is quite a unique scenario, and one I think we'll be grateful for.
He's like my dad.
He's my uncle.
For me, he's the greatest Arsenal manager of all time. And even though everyone says, oh, he's tainted his legacy and he stayed too long or whatever, bear in mind, there's probably no one in the world that wants Arsenal to succeed as much as him.
I'll remember Wenger as the man that changed the face of Arsenal.
He's given us unbeaten seasons, he's given us doubles, he's given us unbelievable derby moments, he's given us some of the best players that we couldn't even dream of having. He's given us all of that, and yet he's still just a humble, nice guy who wants the best for the club and for the fans.
I'll remember him as a man who was dedicated to my football club, someone who is very proud, who had strong values and stuck with them, and someone who always defended the club and our players. And I think I'm very grateful that he was the manager of our club and he had such a distinguished period with our team. It's a shame that I can't thank him in person. It's a little bit scary looking forward to the future now and wondering what will happen next and how we'll all deal with that change.
It's ridiculous, man.
It's been comforting having that one constant through life, and I can't lie, I'm a bit worried about the future.
He's the man that built expectation. He's the man that built something that for years to come we can say we played the Arsenal way because of Arsene Wenger, the same way people say Barcelona played a style of football because of Johan Cruyff. And I think if we can give him credit for anything, we should give him credit for that.
I will miss you.